How to get into UK tech companies without coding. My name is Isaac, previous funded startup CTO, and I run the checkout team at Pretty Little Thing. So, can you get into tech companies without coding? Unequivocally, yes. I think there's a big misconception around tech and that people really glamorize and mystify it, but fundamentally it is just a sector of work and tech companies are just companies. When tech first came out, it was a very specific field that was kind of limited to certain people, in the same way you can think about AI now. There's only a couple AI companies. But now, realistically, most tech companies are just using a plethora of pre-existing tools that their technical staff kind of implement and use. It's often become the operations as opposed to just the product of a company. Anything that's complex has a lot of things behind it. If you think about an athlete, they have their nutritionist, they have their trainer, they have maybe their masseuse or their physio. And then even if you think on the non-athletic side, you could have your manager, accountant, everything that goes into it, a lawyer even. And if you're a big athlete like Francis Ngannou, you're gonna have social media managers. So as much as we might see this one aspect and think it's all encompassing, there's so many smaller things that combine to create this. You don't have to be technical to get into tech roles. Well, tech careers. So instead of thinking about tech jobs and how great they could be, I would like you to think more about companies. The technical staff in a company that's a tech company like a Google will actually get the same benefits than the non-technical staff will have. The technical people might get paid a little bit higher, but fundamentally, if the technical people, when they get higher up in the ranks anyway, they have to move towards the non-technical side, which if that's something you're doing, you can rise up the ranks as well. All that aside, 5 roles you can get as a non-technical person in a technical company, the kind of salary you'll be expecting and who they are best suited for. BA, business analyst. A very popular method of working within tech teams at the moment is an agile sprint method, and fundamentally the way that works is 2-week increments that you will do work in, and then after that there's an assessment about what's been done and you allocate all your work into that. The business analyst basically works with the business side of the company to understand the requirements and the work that's coming in, and then they work with the technical staff to scope these out and put them into the sprint so they know what's being done. Fundamentally, it's an organizational role and a communication role because you're speaking with the business staff, and then you need to work with the technical staff to understand the task and estimate how long it's going to take, and then break that down and sort out the timeline. Salaries are 30 to 40k midweight, which, do bear in mind, will fluctuate depending on the company. This role is best suited for people that have a background in organization and communication, or if you worked in HR or you were a PA, being able to really work with people, understand requirements, and then scope these into timelines, move stuff around. They're the people that are going to benefit the most in this role. Number 2, Scrum Master. As I mentioned before with the Agile Scrum system, which is something I'm probably going to come back to a few times in this video. A Scrum Master is someone that basically organizes the sprint ceremonies. I know I'm throwing a lot of terminology, but it's basically with the Agile system, you break things down into 2-week sprints. The Scrum Master holds ceremonies every morning called a stand-up, where everyone comes in and explains whereabouts they are in the sprint. The benefit of this is everyone across the board kind of understands what's going on. The BA can communicate that back. They can work on unblocking people. Now, the Scrum Master fundamentally just holds the ceremonies, and it's not like the BA where they need to unblock and necessarily do work with the team. It's more a case of making sure that everyone in the team adheres to this Agile sprint methodology. Salaries are a bit higher. You're looking about 50 to 60k. Jobs are slightly tricky to get though, because as BAs may be allocated per team, Scrum Masters, because the only thing they do is the Scrum ceremonies, they can work on multiple teams at once. So you actually have far less Scrum Masters per company than you would BAs. For this role, you fundamentally need to understand the Scrum system quite in depth and make sure that everyone adheres to it. And you also need to understand the tools that people use to organize it, like Jira. Jira is one of the big software tools that people use to organize tasks. Look into that if you're curious. 3, QA, which stands for quality assurance, and they are basically testers of products. So in the same way you have a development team, you will often have a QA team which tests the products that go out as you're doing them. There's a plethora of different ways this can be done. This can be manual testing of going through the service itself, like whether it's an app or a web app, and then listing the bugs, or it could be writing automation scripts, which does require some coding, but it's not necessarily a prerequisite to get the role. I've worked with QAs that came out of uni that had a non-related role. I know a girl that came out of university studying chemistry that got into this, and I also have another friend who basically got a certification. I think it took him like 6 months or something. It's not, you don't need any real prerequisites. You just need to be able to follow instructions and learn the debugging tools that they actually implement. You are looking around the 25k mark. When I myself look for jobs to do research on this video, most of the roles I saw were looking for people with years worth of experience. So I wouldn't even put yourself as a junior. I just put down what you're capable of technically. The people, however, that I know that got into it didn't have any prior experience. And as I mentioned, the person that paid for this certification, like they didn't have any any experience when starting. For this, you are looking around the 25k mark. Obviously, the more experience you have, the higher you get. Another cool thing about these though, they are very easy to cross-skill. You're already working very close with the code base, you understand the bugs, and then you are actually working next to the technical staff. So if you did want to upskill or cross-skill, very easy to do, and you're probably in the best position to get that transition completed. Number 4, help desk and IT support. So this doesn't necessarily take any coding experience, but often you need to know networking, a little bit of operation systems. It can vary company to company, but it's basically making sure that you can set up people's systems when there's issues. So as much as there might be a technical team, there will be plenty of non-technical people that need to use technical things to get their job done. So there's often a lot of understanding of software as well, like Microsoft Excel, Google Docs. It's being able to troubleshoot things and unblock them, really. So for these also as well, you can do courses, take about 6 months. And similar to the QA role, it's very easy to cross-skill into technical things if that's what you want to do after. Salaries are a bit low. It can be from 20 to 25k, though that completely does depend on the company. But yeah, like I said, very flexible role, and it's a great way to start if you're not sure what to get into. And then number 5, which is a little bit of a cheat, because it's any role. You could be in finance, marketing, HR, it doesn't really matter. You can actually do these things to get into tech companies, because tech companies are just companies. For PLT, they had an entire department of buyers, which is probably one of the larger departments in the company actually. And fundamentally what they would do is they would choose the products that were going to come in and the quantity at what they'd stock them. All you really needed was a background in understanding fashion and a little bit of admin experience, and you could get that role. Okay, so in conclusion, I hope this has demystified the difficulty of getting into tech jobs. I want to be very clear. Tech jobs are just jobs, tech companies are just companies. You can have the benefits without the years of cross-skilling to get into those positions. Specialize in what you can already do and just focus on maximizing your output. You don't have to be fancy, often just getting your foot in the door is enough and you can work from there. In conclusion, this is just my experience, but I do hope it was useful for someone out there. If you know someone who's trying to make the transition into tech but they're not entirely sure how to go about doing it, please send them this video so they can make a more informed decision. Thanks guys.